to the latest episode of GNV Next, a half-hour look at the City of Gainesville's citizen-centered initiatives, programs, events, and people. I'm your host, Bob Woods, and this is an exciting time for Gainesville, a city that is leading a movement, empowering its people, and reinventing what the new American city looks like. We'll chat with City Commissioners Harvey Ward and Adrian Hayes-Santos on a broad range of city issues. We'll take a look at a day in the life of a city employee in our building inspection department. And we'll visit one of the city's many beautiful nature parks, and much more. But first, let's take a look at the recent Longest Table event where residents engaged in a dialogue about their community.
Let's talk about the big ideas. Let's talk about how we make Gainesville even greater so the next generation and the one after that can live in the best city in the country.
I'm the Assistant City Manager, Fred Murray. Just again want to welcome you to our Longest Table. It's an opportunity for you guys to give us some dialogue about our city, the good things, the bad things, and the challenges we have.
The Longest Table is an opportunity for various and diverse members of our community to come show up to Depot Park on a beautiful afternoon, break bread together, share stories, and also tackle some challenging questions that face our community today. What I'd like to see everybody get out of this is a better sense of understanding of the various diverse parts of our community and how those different threads are woven together to make the tapestry that is Gainesville.
In which area have you experienced or aware of others who are experiencing barriers or challenges? Are you experiencing any challenges with barriers to?
No, but it helps. I'm not, but I know of people who would like to buy a house and they can't afford to because there isn't anything.
So credit barriers,
Yes.
financial barriers.
We want to see every person have a voice and that those voices are being shared amongst one another and not sort of just restricted in their own little silos.
We have a very special guest joining us today on GNV Next. I'm very, very pleased to welcome to the show Commissioner Harvey Ward, District 2 Commissioner for the City of Gainesville.
Thank you, Bob.
Sir, welcome to the show.
Enjoying it. Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it.
No, you're quite welcome. And you were out at the Longest Table event that we just took a look at, and what a great event that was.
It really was tremendous. I was there last year too, and to see it grow and to see people just become more comfortable with being a part of the community and talking to strangers and sitting down and having real, honest, deep communications out of the blue almost was really heartening to see. You know, we had folks that I had never met sit down at my table, and we just had great conversations about what we do well in Gainesville, what we could do better, and it was all very neighborly and congenial, and that's the way it should be.
That's a wonderful thing. You know, that conversation goes a long way toward really binding us together as sort of one community. Yes. And I know you have some of the same ideas that you'd like to see happen with our city government. Can you talk more about that?
Absolutely. What we want to do, what I'd like to see us do, is remember that Gainesville is one organization. You know, the City of Gainesville, whether it's Parks and Recreation, whether it's communications, whether it's Gainesville Regional Utilities, the City Commission, the Clerk's Office, whatever we're doing, it's one Gainesville. Mm-hmm. And I want our citizens, our residents, to understand that as well, because for them it really is just one Gainesville. When they have a problem with whatever's going on with the city, they want one solution, not to go to 3 or 4 or 5 different departments and be shuttled all over downtown. To them it is one Gainesville, and we need to understand that it's one Gainesville.
Well, you know, I think that's so true. I know myself that working for the communications office, there are a lot of different pieces to the city of Gainesville, but you're absolutely right. When citizens come to the city, they expect one place, one-stop shopping, so to speak,
exactly,
to get their needs met.
Right, and if we're going to be that new American city, if we're honestly serious about being citizen-centered and providing the best possible experience for folks as a citizen, then we've got to be on top of that. I think it's really helpful for all of us to be able to break those silos down and go back to that new American city, one Gainesville approach. That's what the people who elected me expect. That's what the folks who we live with, our neighbors, our friends, that's what they're looking for. And I think we can do it.
I think we can too, sir. In fact, I think we are doing.
Yes.
One of the key words that you mentioned in your answer, of course, was elections. And I know that you've been very instrumental in starting a conversation about changing the way we elect city commissioners. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. The Gainesville Votes idea started several years ago, many years ago, actually. The idea that we always have our elections in March every single year. You talk to voters and you find out that people are really tired especially after the big election in 2016. When we went out and started knocking on doors, the first thing people would say when I said I'm running for Gainesville City Commission was, didn't we just have an election? We can't do this again. Come on, back off.
It's election fatigue.
Yes, very much so. And the idea of election fatigue, even before that election, got a group of people talking about, well, we don't really know any good reason that we do this in March. So why don't we explore the idea of moving it to the regular election cycle every 2 years in August with the actual election, and then if we need a runoff, we can do that in November at the general election. We get, gosh, Bob, 12% turnout.
Not very good, is it?
Right.
Yeah.
That's no way to run a democracy. We can certainly do better than that. And I haven't talked to many people. Matter of fact, I really haven't talked to anybody that doesn't think we can do better turnout-wise in August. And we traditionally get somewhere between 25 and 30% turnout in August, as opposed to that 11-12% turnout in March. And I think voters are smart. I think our people can understand that there are different races that they need to be prepared for and do their research on, because people just don't show up in the spring. And I think if we talk to voters at a time when they expect an election, we can expect better results for people.
So if we were to move the election, say, to even numbered years, then how would that affect the commissioner terms?
One of the real hard part of this that we had to work with the city attorney's office was to come up with a proposal that wouldn't lengthen or shorten any current commissioner terms. We were elected for 3-year terms, and we'll serve those 3-year terms. And then the next cycle, the next group of elections, they'll start to be staggered.
I see.
And some people will serve a 2.5-year term. Some people will serve a little bit longer, so that we actually get it evened up to a point where in about 2021 or 2022, everybody's on a 4-year cycle at that point. All 6 commissioners and the mayor would all be on that 4-year cycle. And in the process, I think we can save a lot of money for the taxpayers as well. It currently costs us about $200,000 a year for the supervisor of elections to help us run these standalone elections in March. And we would be participating with the county and the state on all the other elections in August. And we'll save a lot of money by just being part of a ballot instead of a ballot that's of and unto itself.
If we can save money for the taxpayers, I of course not only am a city employee, but I'm a taxpayer,
right.
And I'm absolutely concerned about anything we can do to sort of get the most bang for our dollars as a taxpayer. And so the idea of saving money actually appeals to me.
If we could save money and bring more voters to the table, that's a no-brainer.
Absolutely.
So we have we've been talking about it for a while. It looks like we're going to have it on the November ballot.
Okay.
So citizens can make the choice. This is not the commission or staff or anybody making the choice for the people. We're going to let everybody decide. All the citizens of Gainesville can show up and vote in November and make a decision on your own. Let's cut down the number of elections so we can pay attention and be serious about it, and so we can be about the process of governing instead of just running for office.
Well, one of the interesting things about the 3-year term as opposed to the 4-year term, the first year you're really sort of in this upward learning curve, and then the second year you begin to hit your stride, and then the third year is when you really can be effective. So if you had another year, you could probably get some things done.
It takes a while to get used to it, to get the rhythm of the office, and the calendar, just knowing when things are going to come up and knowing how to work with the budget process. I think we'll have more effective commissioners with 4-year terms.
Commissioner Ward, I want to thank you so much for being on GNV Next today. We really appreciate having you here.
Thank you. I appreciate the invitation. It was fun.
Please come back again and join us.
I will do that.
We'll be right back after this.
My name's Kiefer Calkins. I'm the Chief Building and Fire Inspector for the Department of Doing, City of Gainesville. And basically, you know, what we're responsible for is health and safety of people in buildings, building construction, sprinkler systems, really every asset of a building project, you know, from the planning stage to the final inspections. We inspect it all. Well, probably the biggest change with the Department of Doing is we're all about communication now. You know, everyone has our number. You know, our responsibility to the citizens and the contractors is to, as a team approach, to help them accomplish the building code, which is the minimum code. So I think we're on the cutting edge of that, and part of it is virtual inspections, especially for windows, HVAC changeouts, that type of thing. If they have the right type of phone, we could Skype them and we could do the inspection. They won't miss out work, and you know, it's a win-win situation. It's been a big push now from the building official and Wendy Thomas that we get multiple licenses. So right now in the department, everyone's working on different programs to get different licenses, which will help the homeowner and contractor because, you know, we'll be able to do more inspections in the commercial field especially. I started as a contractor here in the city restoring historical houses. I did that for 20 years and been with the city 14 years. Been on both sides, which is really good. In fact, a number of us have. And that's nice because I remember waiting all day for the inspector to show up. And I was a small contractor. He'd show up at right before 5 o'clock. 8 hours, I'd be sitting there doing nothing, waiting for him. So, you know, if you work on that side, you know, you get to understand what the contractor or the homeowner, you know, is all about. So that really helps a whole lot. With the City of Gainesville, I believe we have the best inspection group that you're going to bump into the state. And our guys are really good, and they really care about the contractors and homeowners, and I'm really proud of them. You know, I'm proud of our department and the Department of Doing.
Still to come, a conversation with City Commissioner Adrian Hayes-Santos about closing the digital divide in our community and plans to make Gainesville a zero-waste city by 2040.
Riding the RTS bus with Mom was great. The friendly greeting from the driver, beautiful memories of holding Mom's hand. I loved the bracelets she made, the excitement of watching the world go by. Who would have thought that I would continue that tradition through college, getting to class hassle-free? And now that friendly driver and I are a bit older, as I get to my job stress-free, I'm reminded of my mom's hand on mine. Still wearing that bracelet, still riding the bus. Growing up RTS.
Evergreen Cemetery Association of Gainesville, in partnership with Visit Gainesville, provides a unique cultural experience for the community at historic Evergreen Cemetery. Established in 1856, this 53-acre landmark is the final resting place for many of this region's historic figures and families. Visitors can wander amidst towering oaks and lush foliage and listen to a 38-stop interpretive cell phone tour of this heritage destination. Learn more at thiswondrousplace.org.
We live in the Sunshine State, so why aren't you protecting yourself from the damaging rays of the sun? Now, when you visit City of Gainesville parks and other facilities, you can block the sun and not the fun with free sunscreen. Bright yellow sunscreen dispensers are now available in many locations in the city. Want to know where? Then visit the City of Gainesville Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs website and click on the Find a Park or Facility button. Remember, make SPF your BFF.
The city serves 27,500 households approximately. We use a volume-based system, which means everyone pays for their trash according to how much trash they generate, so we have 4 different cart sizes to accommodate that. We offer unlimited recycling collection, unlimited yard trash collection, recycling of electronics, unlimited bulk collection, which is mostly furniture. Annually, we send over 20,000 tons of waste to the landfill, just from city households. That's not the city entirely, that's residential, our residential program. Our recyclables are taken to the Levita Brown transfer station. There's a materials recovery facility there, and Alachua County runs that facility and processes our recyclables. We have a very healthy ongoing Adopt a Street program. Citizens or citizen groups or student groups can call our office if they'd like to adopt a street. Usually we ask that you adopt at least a mile of a street. We provide them with everything they need to do the job: safety vests, litter sticks, garbage bags. They can check all that out from us. And we ask that they pick up at least 6 times a year. We've worked on a number of innovations in the last couple of years to try and improve the way we collect garbage and dispose of it and reduce waste and inefficiency. One of these that's been very successful for us involves a sensor that you can install on dumpsters that will tell you how soon the dumpster will be full, and it'll alert you when the dumpster gets full and needs to be collected. We have installed these on 33 dumpsters at city facilities now, and we're saving about $20,000 a year on collection costs now.
Well, we've certainly learned a great deal about our solid waste division, and we're here this morning with Commissioner Adrian Hayes-Santos, City Commissioner for the City of Gainesville, and thank you for joining us today, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about zero waste management, and would you please tell us a little bit about what that actually means?
Yeah, so zero waste is moving towards how do we reduce the amount of waste that we produce in our homes and also that we actually send to our landfills. I grew up in Gainesville, and Gainesville really is a city that cares about their environment, and this is where we need to start making those changes. It's been about 20 years since we last did kind of a revamp of our recycling ordinance, and things have changed in how solid waste works and different strategies. And I think we're at a point where we need to start looking at how do we protect our environment, not only for ourselves and what we enjoy today for our quality of life, but also for what our future generations have.
Well, you know, it's really important to sort of set goals when you're trying to achieve an objective. And so what are our goals related to the zero waste program?
So what we're looking at is currently there's a state goal of 75% for recycling. Right now, we're not on track to meet that. So if we want to reach those goals, we need to start making changes. And that's what I'm suggesting that the Commission do right now, is start to look at those, look at ways that we can increase the amount of recyclables and also reduce the amount of waste that we're producing. So I put forward 17 different proposals, ranging from how do we increase multifamily recycling, where we have 3 or 4% recycling rates right now, to residential composting programs. I'm doing a pilot program for that. Or also looking at composting programs in our grocery stores and restaurants too, where you see in restaurants 50% of the waste that is produced is compostable. So that's stuff that we can keep out of the landfills, and also it's cheaper to compost it as well. There's a few other things we can look at in construction and demolition. I think a lot of our citizens see a lot of that happening in our community, and that's actually one of our huge waste areas that we can help reduce the amount of recycling on site that we're doing there, and reusing a lot of the materials too, like bricks and all these other things that don't have to be put into our landfills. They can be reused. Also looking at areas on our commercial side, how do we reduce the amount of non-recyclable materials, and 2 of those are single-use plastic bags and expanded polystyrene, which is styrofoam.
So right now, I think Alachua County recycles about 53% of the actual waste, and so I think the 75% goal you mentioned. When do we hope to achieve that by?
The goal would be to still achieve that by 2020. I think the changes we can start making this year and through the next few years, we can achieve that. Moving forward from there, we're looking in 2030 of 90% recyclables, and the goal would be in 2040 to try to move to 0%. Having that goal, it's a reach goal, but it's something we need to try for.
Well, you know, 2040 sounds like some distant time in the future, but really we're talking about 22 years at this point.
That's very true, and we have to start taking those. I mean, everyone knows that government doesn't move at the quickest pace, so we have to start making those changes. We need to do them now. We seem to just kick the can down the road. Oh, we can deal with it next year. Oh, there'll be some solution that'll come up that will be a magic pill that solves everything. But that doesn't happen. There's incremental changes that we have to start taking now to get to those goals.
And so, you know, everyone's familiar, of course, with the orange and the blue bins that you put your recyclables in. And if folks want to get more information about that, they should go to the city's website, www.cityofgainesville.org.
So we're actually in a good position that we do have dual stream. A lot of communities have moved to kind of commingled, where you put everything in one bin and then it's recycled from there. Right now, China's actually stopped accepting a lot of recyclables, and those communities that do have the commingled recycling, there's a lot of contamination, and they're not finding markets for it. Luckily, here in Gainesville and Alachua County, we have that dual stream, and we're actually finding markets for recyclables, allowing us to bring in money to help reduce costs.
Commissioner, I wanted to also talk to you a little bit about another issue that I know you're very, very much involved with, and that, of course, is providing enhanced broadband to our community. Could you talk a little bit about that?
So in today's day and age, internet access is really essential. It's not a luxury anymore. You can't search for a job without internet access. You can't apply for a job without internet access. And the state of Florida has mandated that high school students even have to take online courses. So we have to start making these steps to ensure that everyone has access to broadband internet. Really, the access to knowledge is the greatest equalizer there is. And in Gainesville, we actually have the highest broadband rates in the state of Florida. So that's where we have looked at as a commission, how do we lower those rates? And right now, our broadband subcommittee that is Commissioner Ward and Commissioner Areola, we've put forward an RFP to look at a feasibility study of how do we make Gainesville the most connected city in America, and also looking at other goals of having the lowest broadband prices in the United States for residents and also for businesses as well.
Right now, the internet rates for service here in Gainesville are rather high, and so I'm thankful to you for spearheading an attempt to try to lower those prices for our citizens. I guess the other question that I have concerning broadband is the process. How do we go from where we are today to where we want to be in terms of providing more services?
That's a great question. So the first steps are we're looking at a feasibility study. We have about 600 miles of fiber already as a city, and we know we want to have the lowest rates in the United States. So it's looking at the gaps. What do we need to do as a city to achieve that? So hopefully we'll move that forward in January, and we'll have that information back in kind of early August, September, but in that period. And at that time, we need to the information will come back and we can see what do we need to do. How do we increase the amount of competition? Is it building out a municipal service that many cities around the country have done with great success? Chattanooga is a great example where they built out a municipal internet service and they have seen lower internet prices, increase economic development, more jobs. So we need to start looking at how do we achieve these goals of bringing in more competition to our internet service.
Well, I'm so glad that we're moving in this particular direction because, thanks to your leadership on the City Commission along with your peers, we've set a goal of becoming sort of the iconic new American city. So talk a little bit about how this initiative on broadband ties into that.
So you look at New American City, I mean, it's where is the communities going? Where is kind of the world going? And you talk about what are the infrastructures that are needed. Before we had water, and then we needed to have electricity and gas and things like that. In today's day and age, the necessary infrastructure is having internet to your home and internet to your business. If you can't have that, your business is going to die, your kids are going to fall behind in education, you won't be able to search for jobs. So that's where we need to look at how this is essential infrastructure. And I think the cities that do have that infrastructure, that fiber infrastructure to provide broadband internet will be the successful ones. And the ones that don't will lag behind. So that's where we need to start taking these steps now. It's not going to be something we can solve this year or the next year, but we need to start taking these steps now so then 5 years from now, we really do have a robust infrastructure that will set us forward for the future.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that with us. I really do appreciate you being here today on GNV Next. We hope that you'll come back and join us again real soon.
Will do. Thank you very much.
Thank you much, sir.
Thank you.
After the break, we'll take a look at one of the city's most beautiful nature preserves in a segment we like to call Hidden Gems. hope you've enjoyed this look at the many exciting projects going on in Gainesville as we transform into a city that is citizen-centered and people-empowered. We leave you now with a look at the latest 352 Walls project at Santa Fe College. Join us again to see what's going on in GNV Next.
352 Walls was looking forward to working with Santa Fe College and the Fine Arts Department. And we had been talking to them for a while and had been looking around for the right place to locate a mega wall. And on the other side, the curators for the 352 Walls project were trying to figure out who to bring in. So we decided on inviting the Dublin-based artist by the name of Macer to create this mural. He's very keen on angles and surfaces and textures, so we have been working out some of the details, and he did a great job. He created the image on his computer, then it was projected onto the wall, and then him and some of the members of the Fine Arts Department got to paint with him. And so we're quite happy with it. It's just spectacular, a spectacular piece.